Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. This is season 2, episode 11, and I actually have a special guest today. Some of you guys may know him from the videos that he makes on the internets. This is Neema.
Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going?
So, Neema, do a little bit of an introduction on who you are and what do you do and all of that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a comedian and actor, and yeah, I've been doing that for about 8 years now. I love comedy. I love making people laugh, and I live in Toronto. I'm Persian, so I have a lot of flavor to me, a lot of culture, very cultured,
Mhm.
and I'm all about like high performance and getting better, and that's currently what I'm on right now. So yeah.
That's amazing. I think we met once, you and I. It was at a like the comedy like comedy club. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I I remember that day when I met you and I was kind of just like, do I know this guy somewhere? Like like say have we met before? And then only after when you went to perform that I was like, "Oh my God, it's Nima."
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I vaguely remember that. I just don't know which show was that, but
Yeah,
uh,
I honestly forget. It was a while. It was
yeah.
yeah, very underground.
Yeah, I know. I think we met another time too though. No, no, maybe it was like in public somewhere. I don't know.
Probably. I'm
Uh,
not sure, but it was yeah, it's
Whatever. Yeah,
one
maybe
of those things.
one of those. Yeah, yeah.
But yes, so your content has been growing, your following has been growing, and how what is your process like in regards to creating content?
Well, there's a lot of planning that goes into it. I've been doing it for content creation, making videos online. I've been doing it since like 2014, since I started doing comedy in general, because I do stand up too,
Mhm.
obviously. So I've been doing that simultaneously, but the past like few years, it's I've really doubled down on the actual planning portion of it,
Mm.
which has been good. You know, I have team meetings. I have a couple people who work for me, like on my team. My brother's my manager, and like I have a couple other guys who help with behind the scenes stuff, and we have meetings every week, and we just kind of plan ahead, either whether it's a week or a month, to figure out what kind of content we want to put out, and that way it's more organized, and we know exactly what to work towards, and it's more efficient. So that's pretty much how it is. It's very simple.
Mhm. Is there anything in particular that you have learned from being in this industry?
Yeah, that the number one thing to note is, doesn't matter how funny you are or how talented you are, if you're not easy to work with, then none of that matters.
Mm, yeah, that's
So
a good one. Yeah.
yeah.
You when we were messaging a while back, you were talking about how you you were doing or are doing carnivore.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, how's that going?
It's good. My brother and I have been doing that for about a couple of years now,
Oh wow, nice.
on and off a little bit. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, like, we tried keto at first, and then went to
Mhm.
carnivore, hardcore, and then we kind of like laid it back a little bit, and then recently these past couple months I've been going much harder on carnivore.
Awesome.
Just like, I mean, you know how it is, right? Like the just high fat, high protein, um,
Yes.
you know, a lot of beef, a lot of like steaks, um, like organs, kidney, liver, heart, shit
Mhm.
like that, and honey, fruits.
Oh,
Yeah, just like trying to like experiment. That's the best I've ever felt, to be honest, doing this diet.
amazing.
I have a thyroid condition, a hypothyroid
Mhm.
condition called Hashimoto. So, um, the carnivore diet is known to reverse it and make
Mhm.
it better. So that's currently mostly why I'm on it, but also to be healthier and feel good.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've been interviewing quite a few people that have been doing the carnivore diet and stuff like
Nice.
that, and it's been interesting kind of just seeing how people got into it and everybody that I've interviewed so far. everybody says like they felt better with it. Like there hasn't been a like I haven't heard any downside yet.
No, not at all. No,
Yeah.
man, there's just so many benefits. There's so many um, there's so many nutrients you're getting from such little amounts of food compared to like what you would have to do if you're a vegan or vegetarian, which is
100%.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, just cook up a steak, 5 minutes, done.
You get all your
quick,
vitamin
quick,
A,
easy. You got
vitamin D,
everything.
vitamin D. You get it fucking everything. You get all the fucking nutrients rather than eating a pound of fucking lentils or some bullshit like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So not about that.
Yesterday, you were doing a live on Instagram. I like tuned in for a little bit of the live, and you were talking about the haters, and you
Oh
were
man.
talking about all of that. It's interesting because I find that on different platforms that I get like most haters on one platform, less haters on one platform, more
Yeah.
fans on one platform. Like, how is that for you? Like, what is kind of like how has it been going with haters in regards to fans and all of that stuff?
I mean, for the most part, it's pretty good. Like I have a great fan base and great amount of big supporters all over. But obviously, given the territory, there's always going to be people who just will try to shit on you, talk shit, bring you down, and it's,
Mm-hmm.
it's natural, right? But like I was mentioning on the live stream yesterday, how like this day and age of social media and getting all this criticism and feedback all at once is something no one's ever had to deal with before. It's like something so
100%.
new, and like it's like no one really knows how to deal with it yet. I don't think because
Mm-hmm.
imagine you walking down the street and you had like 100 people either saying horrible shit or good stuff. It's like overwhelming, right?
Exactly.
So just it's just about like learning how to cope with it and understanding why it's happening, and that's when it makes it easier to kind of keep moving forward. Because I realize, that when people talk shit or whatever it is, they lack context on what you're doing in your life and what you're trying to achieve or whatever it is you're working on. And they just don't understand your vision or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, right? And so I look at it in different scope of like this person just doesn't understand what I'm doing, and it's more so just a reflection on how they feel about their lives rather than
Exactly. Yes.
mine.
Yeah, it's been interesting, I find, with that because like so many people ask me, they're like, "Oh my God, like how do you not get bothered by it?" And it's just like, of course, like if you continuously like scroll and read through all the comments, like it will get to you at some point, kind of. For me, at least, like I'm not that aware of it, like, but when it does happen, it's one of those things that is just like they're still watching me. So I really don't care.
Yeah,
I really don't care.
no,
At the end of the day, I'm like, good or bad, they're still watching.
still there, still giving me the views and the engagement. So be
Exactly.
it. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, but I
How?
also think yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, how is it like for you? Because you're posting on like social media now and Instagram
Mhm.
and TikTok.
Yeah, I find that more hate comes from TikTok.
Mhm.
Most of my hate comes from TikTok, but it's like a lot of like 12-year-olds that with
Yeah,
like no profile pictures.
that's what I'm saying. It's all fucking bullshit. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, you're fighting with a fucking preteen on a social media, like you loser.
Yeah, I find like on YouTube the fan base is more hard than on any other platform so far.
Mm,
That's what I find.
interesting.
But I also do find that the way people take in like the negativity also has a lot to do with and like maybe this has something to do like you tell me, but also culture. Like my culture, like I'm like Brazilian Mexican, and the background is just like they always make jokes and they always insult each other. And it's like you already have to be thick-skinned in order to deal with that type of, like
Yeah,
those jokes that
100%.
I find that in North America, for example, people are a little bit more sensitive in regards to that because they don't receive that as much as
Yeah.
from other cultures. How about in your culture? Is it like the same way?
Oh
Like,
yeah. 100%. No, I was actually gonna say because like I grew up in like a Middle Eastern, right? So
mm-hmm.
people like my parents, my family is always like very Persians specifically are very funny people and
Yeah.
naturally and just like very lighthearted and like they're always trying to make jokes, but there's still that element of being a little hardcore and strict about like getting a good job and like looking nice,
Mm-hmm.
smelling great and stuff like that, like keeping your image up, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
everyone, all the other aunts and uncles, they talk shit if you're not getting the nicest cars, the nicest fucking Louis Vuitton or whatever the fucking bullshit. But that actually kind of set me up as a kid because like my dad would always just like he'd be like like this isn't good enough or like this test you should have done better or like oh like you should have like went harder when you were playing this game like for soccer or whatever it was like no, don't eat that, eat this, it's like all this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
um he's like they comment on your weight a lot, they're comment on your look every time you see your family members like oh you got fat or like oh what's wrong with your hair or what's wrong with what I'm saying, like so now I look at it as like I have to remind myself when I see hate comments on TikTok or whatever bullshit, I'm like yo my dad has shit on me worse, so you can't touch me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was making jokes with my mother, and I said like I was just like nothing offends me because my grandma has already offended me worse.
Yeah,
So
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I've already been beaten down really hard by my own family members, so this is nothing.
you're either gonna have like with these like cultures, you're either gonna have the worst self-esteem or like you're gonna be like the best. Like nothing can break you. Nothing can
Exactly, 100%, and
it's just
that's
like
why 100%, and that's why I feel like I'm as a comedian, I'm a comedian, like so, but that only happens because I already had a thick skin growing up.
mm-hmm,
So in comedy, especially, you need to have a thick skin, uh,
100%.
and not it's not just about online; it's about being on stage and like real life, real life audience members not giving you that feedback you want, and like you have to take it, and
Mm-hmm,
you have to roll with it. You're gonna bomb many times
100%.
on stage, but you have to just keep going and remind yourself that it's just another set,
Mm-hmm.
So,
And you actually have your mom in a lot of your videos and things
yeah.
like that. How did that start to come about?
When I first started doing YouTube like 8 years ago, well, like before that, like my parents are pretty funny in their own way, so I got my humor from them. Obviously, my mom
Mm-hmm.
is more of a goofier one, which is more of my style.
Mm-hmm.
And she'll just like talk shit, like just like she'll say whatever, and like it's just like it's just funny to her and to everyone else around her, and that's how I am too. So, when we had family gatherings and family parties, um, my dad and like all their friends, all their like my family friends, they would always like count on me to go up in front of them and make them laugh. And the only way I knew how to make them laugh was to like impersonate my mom or my dad or whatever, but mostly my mom. Um, and so that's where it started, kind of where like I would just like literally I would just impersonate my mom going through a Tim Hortons drive-through and not knowing how to order because she's an immigrant and speaks broken English, and like everyone would be dying laughing. And like at the time, I didn't know I was gonna do comedy, but that's sort of where it starts, right? So, when I started to do content online, the first video I ever did was me being my mom on a video.
Mm-hmm.
Just like being like, oh, like Persian mom versus white mom or whatever bullshit. Um, just the basic stuff. And then it started to pick up, it started to hit, like people really loved it. And then eventually I expanded it more, developed the character more. And then I ended up pranking my mom one time early in the day, like YouTube days when pranks were like popular. And I was like, oh, I sell drugs and I do drugs. And like obviously she was in the video and like she was so distraught and like just pissed. And it got a big reaction, obviously, and everyone's laughing, everyone's dying. And then she just became more and more supportive as I was doing what I wanted to do in my life. And no matter what I do, she always backs me. So eventually she became a favorite in my videos, and then everyone's like, "Yo, we need more of your mom, more of your mom." And whenever I would tell her this, at first she was shy and kind of like didn't want to be on video, but then like she low key liked the attention. So when I brought her in more and like I made her more of a part of the content rather than me just putting her in it, um, as like a joke, it like start to blow up even more. And so anyway, after that, pretty much she's just like, okay, now she's at a point where like she's directing the video. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like before I would be like, okay, let's do this, do this. Now she's like, okay, what about this? And what you know, it's a fucking now it's a writer's room with my mom. So yeah, it's just yeah, it's pretty cool that she's into it.
That's awesome. I think that also like, it's like a fun thing to do to like bond with your mom and things like that as
Yeah,
well, right?
it's good. And you know,
Mhm.
I get to have these memories with my mom.
Mhm.
You know, as I grow up, and you know, eventually when they're not going to be around anymore, I can look back on these videos and be like, wow, like look at the fun times we had
Mhm.
together. So
Well, that's beautiful.
yeah.
So with dealing with, the internet and content creation and all that stuff, I know like content creation, as fun as it could be, could also be like it's a very challenging job. And a lot of people don't see that. A lot of people just see like, oh, it's just posting videos. But in reality, there's so much work that comes into it. How do you deal with mental health in regards to content creation and your job and all of the pros, but the cons that come with it too?
So luckily, I think it's about having the right people around you. Definitely helps a lot. The main, you know, 3 or 4 people in your inner circle is really shows how you're gonna also be in your own life. So luckily I have my older brother. He's one of my um main people in my circle where like and he's like 6 years older, so he's lived life way more than I have, and he has a lot of wisdom, and he's a very smart guy and does a lot of like research on everything, and like he reads a lot, and he pretty much just like he's had to work so much on himself over the years that you know he got to a point where he's strong enough to help me now too. So
Mm,
you know, just stuff like that really helps a lot. Being open and transparent with how you feel around the people that you love really helps a lot, and goes a long way. And you know, obviously, like going to therapy is better than anything.
mm,
I personally haven't gone yet, but I know people who have in my life, and they've made immense improvements in their own life and their own behaviors. So, but other aside from that stuff, I think it's important to also have an outlet or like some sort of avenue to take to like express how you feel or express your thoughts, let it all out, you know what I'm saying, whether that's like journaling or writing, you know, your thoughts down on a piece of paper, recording voice notes, calling someone. I think stuff like that definitely goes a long way, and that's something I've incorporated into my life this so far. Especially because like you know doing all this content and like I'm traveling, I'm doing a lot of comedy. You're always on the road. You're always getting this criticism online. Like you, there's just so much shit going on. It's good to also decompress,
mm,
and by having a routine. And so,
definitely.
what I've done now is like instead of because like before when I started, it was so chaotic. I was always just in 24/7 work mode, like comedy mode, like always trying to like create and stuff like that. But then eventually you crash, which I crashed after a few years, and I had to take a whole month off of everything and just stop.
Mm,
So I can become sane again because there's a point where it's like you just lose like sense of reality of what's real and what's not, and like what you're really working towards. And I realized that you need a balance. So before I didn't have a balance, and now I'm like, okay, instead of like working from fucking 9 a.m. to 12 a.m. at night, you know what I'm saying? Like just like work until 5, 6, 7, even 8 p.m. maybe, and then like leave a few hours for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like to have you know your me time. You know, self
mhm.
care. Hashtag self care vibes. And I think that's super important to like keep the train rolling and to stay consistent too. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
Oh yeah, for sure. Um, that's definitely one thing that I find that I've seen a pattern with a lot of content creators is the fact that there always comes a moment where they do crash, where they do need to just like they're like, okay, I'm gonna take a break, whether it's like a month or a week, like it always comes down to that. And I think that that's another thing that people don't take into consideration with this type of job is that nowadays too it's just like again it's like you were saying with all of these things it's very new, even having a job as like a content creator where you're managing your own shit, like that's difficult. It's like you're your own CEO, your own founder, your own worker. You're like everything,
I
all
know.
at once.
Yeah, exactly. But that's why I'm saying like, if you can, like have people around you that you trust. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm.
luckily, I'm lucky to have my brother as my manager, so he
Yeah, that's
can deal with
awesome.
all the shit on the side. And that's the person you talk to as well, right? So,
Yeah.
it's not even about me having an ego or anything like that. It's just that it's like I don't want to have to worry about like the other things. I want to just focus on creativity and just
100%.
do my job. You know what I'm saying? And he
That's
works on his
awesome.
job. And
Hmm.
so, but like unfortunately, there are a lot of entertainers out there, musicians, comedians, actors who don't have that in their
Hmm.
life. And so I just have to be grateful for what I have and use it to my advantage. And like, we help each other out.
Hmm.
So that's the thing that's unfortunate is like, and people in my business in our industry, like, um like you have to hire people like that you don't really know, and you just
Hmm.
almost have to, it's like blind trust in a way, like blind, you just have to like kind of guess that this person's gonna like help you out, but it's all part of the territory, and it is what it is. Like, you just have to keep
Exactly.
trying shit, right? So
Hmm. How was and how was everything with like content creating and mental health in during like COVID? Because I know that a lot of people had like different ups and downs with it. Some people said like, "Oh my god, it was actually amazing," because I started to getting more deep into my creations and my hobbies and my jobs. Some people were like, "Oh my god, I was just devastated." Like, how was that for you?
yeah, no, I was more on the side of, this was honestly a blessing in disguise for me, because I got an opportunity to just stay at home and focus on myself and my online stuff, because before that was actually when I crashed. I was mentioning earlier about how my life was so chaotic.
Mhm.
Like, it's just like I just ended up crashing and burning, and I had to take a whole month off. So when COVID hit, it's perfect timing, because I was like,
Yeah.
fuck it, like, I don't have to be out doing shows, like I can't even go anywhere. So let me just take up this whole month, 30 days, and just like literally start from the basics again. Um, and my brother helped me out a lot with that whole month. So when I came back to posting content, I was like ready to go, and I had a whole plan ready. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I can double down on the videos now and put more thought and creativity into it, and that's when my shit actually started to blow up more.
Mhm.
So I was actually like, I really enjoyed COVID, to be honest. Like, the whole, like, at least the first year, I was fucking crushing it, because I didn't have to leave, and I was just like all like, I was on it. You know what I'm saying? And also, I had to work on my health too at the same time. It was good, perfect. And so, yeah, but I know people who obviously they suffered and it was bad. And like a lot of people, obviously, there's a lot of tragic things that happened. But um, I mean, I just took the opportunity to really like, double down and pump out more content. Really,
Mhm.
it's
That's
good.
awesome.
Yeah.
The pros and cons about these things.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know, it's good.
Mhm. So is there anything in your life currently that has recently changed?
Yeah, my hair.
Yeah, lots of people have mixed reviews with it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I mean, like, I had my long hair. I'm sure you saw me with long hair, obviously,
Yeah.
before.
Mhm.
Um, for like 3 years, pretty much. So yeah, like, it was just a time for a change, to be honest. I was like, and it was coincidentally Persian New Year last week when I got
Oh,
my
cool.
haircut. So it's like a Persian New Year falls on spring day, like every year, right?
Mhm.
So it was just like I just felt it in me. I was like, I'm just gonna cut my hair, because it's New Year, new me. And I don't know. I just felt like I'm entering a new era of who I am,
Mm.
and the person I was with the long hair 3 years ago is not the same person I am today. So I don't know. It's just like I feel like it was just a weight off my shoulder in a way. I just wanted to just do it. But yeah, there are people who are like, "No, I miss your long hair. I love your long hair." But most people did like it too. Most I posted on my story. I was like, "Yo, what do you think?" Blah blah blah. That's just more so just to engage people. But yeah, most people seem to like it. I mean, I really like it. My barber's
Mhm.
fucking dope, and he knows how to cut hair. So
100%.
I don't know. What do you think?
I like it. It shows your face more too, so you can
Yeah,
see kind of
exactly.
more like you know. So
Yeah.
it's
I appreciate that. Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You're not saying that just be nice, right?
No, no, of course not.
No, off the record, off the record.
Off the record.
You're like, it's actually fucking terrible. I'm not gonna lie. No, I eventually want to like buzz. I actually want to buzz my hair eventually,
Oh
but like
wow, yeah.
my face, I would look like a penis, to be honest. I would look like a mushroom head if I buzzed my hair. And maybe if I lost weight, if I lose a little more weight, it'll look better. But for now, I'm just gonna keep it short enough. But
Yeah, I mean, it would have given off like Buddha vibes.
straight Buddha. I would have no choice but to wrap my body in blankets and just meditate all day. I would just completely go off the earth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with I saw like some of your videos with that you were imitating like Wim Hof and things like that as
Oh yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna do
Hilarious
that.
content.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like doing that stuff, man. I mean, like, I just like, and it's funny because everyone I impersonate that I post online, I actually look up to those people.
That's awesome.
So, like David Goggins, Gary Vee, like all these people,
Mhm.
like Gordon Ramsay. That's just like, I just love those. I love those people, and
Mhm.
and it's funny because whenever I do those impressions and I post those videos, people are always like, "Yo, I'm not gonna lie, man. Like, I love this. I love Gary Vee, but like, this is hilarious." I'm like, "Yeah, I love him too. I'm
Yeah,
not, I don't
exactly.
hate him at all. Like, I'm not trying to shit on him. I'm just doing impression, like." But I mean, I guess people just don't know, right? But
Mhm.
I'm sure, yeah, you're into all those people too, the high performance people.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's I like people that are more, that are keeping it real on the internet as well
Yeah,
too. It's just like
yeah,
just being themselves and also sharing the highs and the lows, because I find that, and I talked about this kind of like on a previous podcast too, where like with social media, it can be kind of fake in some ways, where you're scrolling and all you see is the good of people's lives. And then you kind of start to feel like, oh shit, like, am I not doing good? Like, is this something that like that I'm doing wrong, or am I not doing enough of? Like, why don't I have that? But in reality, it's just like everybody's struggling. Everybody has their ups and downs. And I think these people are like keeping it real in regards to that stuff, as
yeah,
well
I
as
agree.
yourself.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
No, I imagine I'm just completely in the trenches and I'm just faking it this whole time. Um, no, yeah, I agree with that. Like, that's why I actually get a lot of what I do from those people. Like, that's why I try to
Hmm.
keep it real online as well. Like,
Yeah.
I talk about real shit, like you said on the live stream, right? Like, I talk about the haters or how I feel about people talking about my weight and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
I'm only human, right?
Yeah.
Um, or like, I don't know, I talk about relationships, communication, stuff like that, because I really care about those things. And also, like, the thing about seeing all the positivity at once or even negative stuff, it's kind of dangerous because you fall into this echo chamber of the same ideology over and over again, and then you
Hmm.
start believing in like what like those things that you see, that starts becoming a part of your mindset for some people or for most people, I don't know. But that's, I think that's also the negative part of social media, is that like people, like the same way people see only like leftist things and right wing things, and they think this is the accurate information. I don't care about any other information because this is the right info.
Hmm.
And I feel like it's just dangerous, to be honest, for real life, because the algorithm is smarter than all of us. So
Yep.
whatever you
100%.
watch, whatever you like, that's gonna keep popping up. And then now you think like, oh, this is how everyone thinks, right? And then that's why there's all this fucking banter and battle between both sides all the time. And I don't know, it's just like the world's gone crazy. So that's why I just focus on just doing funny shit, and I don't give a fuck, to be honest.
Yeah.
If I offend people, it is what it is. If I don't, then that's great too. But it's like you can't control anything. You just have to. There's always gonna be something that someone's upset about. Either way, you could think you're being the most perfect human being, and someone will shit on you still. So
100%.
who cares?
Yeah, you could still preach positivity and everyone's gonna be like, oh, that fake bitch.
Right, 100,
You know?
100%,
It's always like,
100%.
yeah, it is
Yeah,
always gonna be
that guy's probably a fucking pedophile because he's masking the fact that he's a positive guy, but he's probably raping kids. Like I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like this is insane.
Yep.
And like I've legit seen comments like that. So that's the scariest part. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. By the way, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear and all this stuff on
No,
this
no,
podcast.
yeah, yeah. We're
I've been
swearing
going
everything. Yeah.
I've been swearing a lot. After a half an hour. Sorry, by the way.
Like
Sorry
beep
if I've
beep
said
editing,
fuck.
editing.
Yeah. After an hour. How many too many.
So, is there anything that you recently unlearned?
Oh, that's a good question. No one's ever asked me that. I like
Mm.
that. I like that. Uh unlearned behavior, right? Like
Could be
stuff that
behavior, it could be anything.
yeah. Yes, I've unlearned to not I don't know, it might sound weird at first, but to like I've unlearned the behavior of chasing women. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like I used to out of desperation to feel connected and liked by women in general. Um I would chase the connection and force it in a way to the point where I'm like, oh, I'm just being persistent or like I'm just being like I just know it'll work out eventually, you know what I'm saying? But really what that's doing is it's showing neediness and desperation and it's mostly a turnoff for women. What I've that's just from my experience, from what I've observed. So this is just me being self-aware now.
Mhm.
Understand that this behavior is never gonna fly if I want an actual relationship with somebody or a genuine connection. So what so I've unlearned the habit of like trying to like, you know, not I don't know, like not even slide into people's DMs, but I'm just saying like, you know, any girl I kind of know or I've met before. It's like literally like, you know, like for example, like hypothetically with you, if I were after this, I would have been like I start chatting with you and I start to like push, try to be flirty, like overly flirty when like we haven't had that consensus, you know what I'm saying? Like we haven't had
Mhm.
that like relationship this whole time. And out of nowhere, I'm just like trying to push it. So I would just do that with like a lot of women, to be honest.
Mhm.
And I obviously I'm not proud of it, but um I'm stopping it now before it gets out of hand or too late or whatever the fuck, right? So I don't know. I just did a lot of inflection on myself. Inflection, introspection. And I realized that it's not helping me because it's a waste of time on my end. And it's just I think it puts a bad taste in other people's mouths
Mhm.
minds or mouths. Yeah. Um yeah, the fact that like I don't know, it's just like it's desperate, right? So and no one likes that. No one likes neediness, no one likes desperation. And yeah, I just because I'm honestly like and I might be going on a tangent here, but I think I honestly believe that I am a good guy and like literally I actually do well with women when I actually go out with them. Like and like every girl I've been on a date with, which I recently went on this week, they've all said the same thing to me, like how like oh like I've never had a guy treat me like this before, like in a good way. Because I know how to actually do things when I'm with someone. It's just that the part before it most of the time I always kind of slipped on because I was trying too hard or like you know what I'm saying I was trying to force the
Mhm.
connection too much. But when I actually have had moments when I'm with someone genuinely, I feel like I'm really good at being that kind of person. Like I actually pay attention. I'm the effort is there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I listen as best as possible. Things that like I feel like a lot of women want and need out of a guy,
Mhm.
out of a man. So, um, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something here, but I.
Maybe this is just like a psychological trick you're doing right now just to get women.
This is actually my way
That's
of
actually
seducing you. To be
really just
honest. So
like,
yeah,
oh, everything all my dates have been great. All my interactions have been great. I know how to treat women.
yeah. So Layla, what are you saying after this? What are you trying to link up or what?
I'm
Um,
fucking dead. That's hilarious.
no, but you know what I mean. Like, I guess like I don't know. Maybe that's too long of an answer to what your original question was,
No,
but
That was great.
It's all it all is linked together for me. Everything I did.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's way more I can talk about, obviously, but I think that's pretty much the gist of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What I don't know. What about you?
Something that I have unlearned that yeah, I thought about this quite a bit, but I think it's mostly just health. Because there's always like learning and relearning when it comes to health. And
Yeah.
sometimes like certain diets or lifestyle that you think was was good or was right turns out to be not. And
Yeah.
then you end up having to kind of like backtrack on that and relearn something new. And I think that constantly, and this is why kind of I like asking that question to people, is because constantly in life you're always unlearning things. You're always unlearning and relearning. Like it's not just black and white. It's not just like this is that values. It's like we can change over time and we can learn over time and grow over time. So sometimes with that process, it's not we're not thinking the same way. We're not behaving the same way. And that's the beautiful
Oh,
part about it too. Mm-hmm.
yeah. I totally agree with that, and that's good
Mm-hmm.
that you feel that way and that you think that way. Um, I think it's important to be self-aware to know these things, but I
Mm-hmm.
feel like a lot of people are just out in space and have no idea what's going on. It's a shame.
Yeah, and the interesting part about that is that I was talking to my cousin, and I was telling him how I find that even though some people are being fake or hopping on bandwagons of like spirituality or like hipster, even through being fake, they still find spirituality. They still find health. So, regardless of it being, you know, coming from a false place, eventually these things are going to reveal themselves to them, and they'll have kind of their awakening in a sense. So, and it's kind of like fake it till you make it kind of situation. It's like there's like pros and cons, because when I say that, a lot of people are like, what do you mean? Like, so you're gonna be fake throughout? I'm like, no, but there is always pros and cons to situations, and I think that that's kind of like a pro to the fake it till you make it. It's just like, even though you may be faking it the universe,
Yeah.
whatever it is you believe in, God, whatever it is, it's gonna show you. It's gonna be like
Yep.
bam.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think whatever you put out there, it'll naturally attract to you. So, however you think, however you talk, the actions you take, eventually you'll get that back and tenfold. Whether it's good or bad, but there's always going to be a lesson somewhere,
Hmm.
no matter what happens. I believe.
So, this is perfect introduction to, because now we're going into the sex segment. It's
Yeah, I
all
was gonna
about
say, is that a
dating, love.
vagina
Yeah,
behind you?
it is. The funny thing is, my mom was on video with me, and she saw that, and then she was just like, "Is that like a saint, or is it a,
A
a
shame.
vagina?" You know.
Oh
And then
wow.
I was just like, "That's hilarious." She's like, Let me see that closer."
Yeah,
And
and I
yeah.
feel like men still can't find the clit from here. Yeah.
The funny thing is, one of my friends, she was saying, yeah, she's like, have you ever noticed that Virgin Mary kind of looks like a vulva? She's just like, like with the
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Not bad. It's not bad.
she's like, if you go like further, you could see
Just
that. And I
glance,
was
quick
just like,
glance, quick
what?
glance.
I was like, I never thought of that before. But
Wow.
now it's
The
like
more
something
you
that
know.
I can't
You can't
unsee.
unsee it. You can't unsee that. You can't. That's fun.
So in regards to sex and dating and all that stuff, like how
Yeah.
was your upbringing with that? Like, was it something that your parents talked about? Was it something that you guys just never talked about?
Hmm. Yeah. No, never. No one ever talked about that in my house. It was such a taboo topic. Yeah, there's never any moment where anyone had any talk about sex with me or my brother. Even me and my brother together, we would never talk about these things until like later in our lives when we got closer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's just I feel like a lot of immigrant houses are like that. Immigrant cultures are like that for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are different actually, where they're very like pro, relationship and sex talks. But I feel like for the most part, at least immigrants from where I'm from are the complete opposite. They're just like it's like you're a fucking devil, you're a whore if you kiss a guy or kiss a girl. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? It's like you're almost like a fucking terrible person if you do any of that before having a relationship or whatever the fuck, or at like a decently older age. So yeah, it was just such an uncomfortable topic for my parents to bring up. And every time like there's a sex scene in a TV show or a movie, it's like all literally the worst moment of my life because I stop breathing. Like I hold my breath because I'm like, this is so awkward. But even like to this day, where it's obviously the older you get, like it gets a little bit better, but even still, like we still never talk about that stuff. More relationship stuff, actually, like the relationship stuff has gotten way more open in my family, in my house. That's different, but sex talk specifically, that's never really even been a topic. To be honest, more so just like my mom's like, don't get anyone pregnant, like don't get these shit trash women pregnant, like just like he's like just shitting on women. Like he's like no, all these pretty much saying every girl's a whore. Like they're all gonna fuck you over. I'm like, bro, it's not a way to think. You know what I'm saying? Like this is toxic, right? So it's more so just like that stuff. And then my dad's just like, just like as long as you're happy, that this is what matters. I'm like, that didn't fucking answer my question at all about like how to deal with sexual stuff. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. Like that's how it is.
Yeah, and so because it's like I think that a lot of the times too, it has to do with definitely culture as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and do you find that kind of like in like Persian culture that it is a more like taboo topic?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, because it's like um there's a lot of shame attached to
Mm,
it.
mm-hmm,
Uh because it's more of like a very sacred, like secret thing in our
mm-hmm,
culture. It's more like we're actually very it's funny because we're very loving people and like we're very open about like hugging and like touching and like kissing each other when we
mm-hmm,
when we greet each other. But then like anything past that it's like you can't talk about that, I'm saying, like it's weird, it's super weird, it's like
mm-hmm.
uncomfortable to talk about. Um so yeah, it's just always been like that.
Yeah, that's the same kind of with Brazilian culture. It's like
Yeah,
hugging, kissing, all that stuff. Like people wear like literally thongs to the beach,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
But
exactly.
then when it comes to that, it's like a lot of people think like, oh, they're easy, like it's easy to get them and stuff like that. But it's
Right.
not. It's like it comes with a lot of religious background too.
Mhm.
So that's another thing, kind of.
Yeah.
But yeah, in regards to your upbringing and stuff like that, did you learn uh more about like sex and dating on your own or through sex education at school, or how was that kind of like?
Just a train wreck, to be honest. Because school didn't teach me shit either, to be honest.
Yeah.
School didn't fucking do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I learned about sex through porn, just like most
Yeah.
guys I know,
Mm-hmm.
which is so toxic, and it's the worst thing to fucking learn from because and there's a quote too, like I don't know, you've probably seen it or heard it. It's been going on for a while now, but like it's like porn ruin men and social media ruin women. Um,
Mm.
because like
Mm-hmm.
porn, and for me, from personal experience, that's what I was talking about earlier about like chasing women and stuff like that. It's deep rooted into like porn because like you start like perceiving women in a way that like is not real, and
Mm-hmm.
like for the most part, like yeah, obviously there's women out there who are complete freaks and they do all these crazy things that you see in porn, but like majority of women I feel like one aren't like that, but also like it takes a lot for them to be like that. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like it's not just like a physical thing. It's like there has to be an emotional connection, um, like a mental connection, all those things combined. And so it kind of just like ruined the way men think about sex in general, but also like how to treat women, sexually and in real life. Because like you start seeing women as a piece of meat. And I'm just being completely transparent here because that like most men think that way, and it's because of porn. Because they show you things that's like and it becomes normalized, right? Because it's so out there, it's so like at the palm of your hand that like it becomes like exactly the way you think. Because just like we were talking about earlier about like the shit you see on your feed, like you start seeing the same shit. It becomes an echo chamber of like, oh, this is just how it is, and then you start like now naturally, subconsciously, even if you don't like consciously think about it, subconsciously you're like, oh, like yeah, like, you know, like that girl's probably like this, or like she probably like loves fucking gagging on dicks, and you know what I'm saying, like, you know what I'm saying, like it's just a lot of stuff like that, and I just feel like um and for social media, I feel like there's so many women who are at competition with other women about like, oh, this person looks like this, so I have to look like this, and so it's the same
100%.
exact thing, but for women, in a
Mm-hmm.
different way. And I just think it's all toxic, to be honest. That's why I stopped watching porn 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I've relapsed a couple times, but like I'm just trying to come off of it because like there's just like so much deeper issues within it, um but it's an addiction. I was addicted to porn
Mm-hmm.
myself. And most people I know around me are or were addicted. So
Mm-hmm.
um I just think it's like it's crazy how it's still out there and it's still a thing. I don't know. There's obviously nuances there. It's not all black and white, but yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much how I learned about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do find that um it's been interesting, like interviewing men in particular in this subject, because like I know I'm a woman. I know how women think, women act. And I always was more curious as what kind of like the male point of view, especially nowadays too, with like feminism and stuff like that. Like there's like the good feminism, and then there's the bad like shit on men feminism. And
Mm.
I think like that's where people kind of like get it mixed up of like what is feminism kind of thing.
Yeah,
And
that's not feminism. Yeah,
yeah,
bad
that's not
feminism is
feminism.
not
That's not it. That's not it at
uh,
all.
yeah.
But yeah, and it's really interesting to see that kind of with men in particular, with pornography and things like that. It's just like it's the same thing with social media for women, I do find too. But yeah, it's like once you kind of, the more you start watching these things, the more you start looking at like pictures of other women and all that stuff as well, even as a woman, the more it's kind of like it does become an addiction. It's kind of like a pattern that you repeat, and then you don't even know why you're doing it anymore. You don't even realize that, and it's just like all of these things are like so these things do affect our sex lives and dating lives subconsciously, right? That we don't even realize that, that we could be thinking or doing or having some sort of negative thoughts in regards to our partner of like the opposite gender and things like that.
Was
So
that a
yeah,
fucking, what the fuck was that?
I had no idea.
Is that a fucking ant? What was
That's
that?
that was an ant.
Oh my god, that tripped me the
I was
fuck
like,
out. I
what
was
the
like,
fuck was
Jesus Christ.
That's hilarious. I'm out in like in the boonies right now in BC. So it's just like there's like ants and
Holy
things.
shit.
I was like, what the
That's
actual fuck?
hilarious. Oh my god. Um, yeah, no, but yeah, I agree with that. What you said, but um, yeah, I don't know. Like, how do you think? What do you think about with in terms of like, you know, learning from porn as a guy? Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, it's like so I think that it like porn in general, I think was definitely made more for men. Not saying that women don't like it. Like there's some women out there that do enjoy it. But I do think that the point of view of it is definitely kind of like what they say is like the male gaze, the female gaze type thing. It's like men are ready to go within like 3 minutes.
Yeah,
Women are not ready to go within 3 minutes, like that
yeah,
doesn't, it just does not happen. And
that's
it's
fine.
just like it kind of comes then it comes down to like when they actually get into that moment. And there's like I saw kind of a scene that made me cringe in the show Ginny and Georgia,
Mm.
where like so in like the first or second episode, something like that, um this guy like sneaks into like the girl's window. Like they're both like teenagers, like 15, 16 or something like that. And they both like had sex and it was just like so awkward. It was just kind of like he like took off his clothes, like, you know, like stuck it in, and then it was kind of done, and then he like it really seemed like, you know, like the way that he did things, the way that he learns, and I'm like, you know what, this is giving me flashbacks. You know, it's just like this is how it actually is, like even for in regards to teenagers, like when you don't know what the fuck you're doing kind of thing, you know, like you're just like, oh, you know, I know what I'm doing because I watch these videos.
Yeah, yeah,
And
of
it's just
course.
like, yeah, it's interesting.
No,
But
that's
yeah.
so true. Yeah, like, um, and a lot of guys growing up too, especially like when you're first starting out doing those things, they don't even
Mhm.
think about the woman like that. They don't even think about how like what the woman wants. You know what I'm saying? Like they can't just for the most part, yeah, like women are not ready to go like that. But
Mhm.
as a teenager or like early adults, like guys don't give a fuck to be honest. Like they just like
Yep.
they think it's like, oh, like she's already into me, like we're already having sex. So like they don't think that like it takes longer for the most part, I think,
Mhm.
or most women like to like actually get them stimulated or whatever it is. Like and I feel like men are the ones who are enjoying it more for the
Yeah,
most
yeah.
part. Until you're in a relationship or whatever, like where like you know what the partner wants, you know what I'm saying? For the most part, I feel like women are just like just faking it or at least just trying to make the guy feel better rather than the other way around. So which is kind of sad to be honest. And I'm like, I don't know, like I want everyone to enjoy it just as like equally. But
Mhm.
I don't know, that's just the way it's been and the way it is. Um, and another thing too is like by watching porn, like you start uh as a guy, you actually get insecure as well because you're like, yo, you see all these massive fucking dongs, these huge hogs, just absolute fucking sausages. Like like railing these women, and I'm like, man, I don't have a fucking massive grenade launcher dick. Okay, I got an average penis. So what am I gonna do when I ever have sex? Because like I can't compete with this. And so
Mhm.
now as a guy, you get insecure in your head about that thing too. And
Mhm.
now it's like double the trouble. Now you're like, okay, I have to perform like this, and my dick has to be big. Like, and then you get in your head when you actually when it comes down to sex, and that's why a lot of guys go soft, or you know, they don't perform as well, or they come fast. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's also like you start thinking like, oh, this is the type of girl I'm attracted to now, and if you don't have a girl like this, then it's like almost unattractive, which is
Mm.
weird because
Mhm.
like it's not every girl looks like that you see in
Mhm.
porn. There's so many different types of women out there, right? And so I feel like it kind of like gives you that misconception about like what you're actually attracted to as well.
Mhm.
Like I don't know, I feel like my actual taste in women has actually changed and evolved since I stopped like watching porn so much. I feel like I've actually evolved the way I see women in general, but also like what I'm attracted to. Like I'm attracted to girls that I otherwise wasn't as attracted to before when I was
Mhm.
watching. So I think there's a lot of that too.
100%. And yeah, I think that's like also a misconception that a lot of women think, that they're like, oh, like, you know, like my man doesn't want to please me. And that's the biggest misconception, is that they do. They just sometimes too like don't know how. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's because of that too.
100%.
Um so it's, yeah, it's very fascinating to me in regards to
Yeah.
these subjects.
Well, and also like it's about communication too, right? Because you don't see communication in porn, you just see fucking.
Yeah.
Like they don't ever tell you, okay, like okay, do this or do that, or like the girl like literally guiding, like or like them asking like, yo, what, like how do you want me to like, you know what I'm saying? Like that
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
happened.
That
They
never
just go
happens.
straight into it, and now you as a guy, you're like, oh, this is exactly what every girl likes, but every
Mhm.
girl is different.
Mhm.
Every girl gets off differently. Like you know what I'm saying? There's so many different ways to
Exactly.
So that's something I also learned. I'm like, well, and I think it should be more normalized for guys to ask how to please the girl. Like it's better than not asking and just like completely like killing the vibe or whatever. I
It's
don't know.
funny because like these subjects are like, they have been ongoing, but it's still something that happens. It's not something that's like,
Oh
oh,
yeah,
it happened and now it doesn't happen anymore. No, these things still happen.
yeah,
So that's where it's just like it kind of gets tricky in regards to these stuff, and that's why kind of like I wanted to talk to different people about this subject because I think it's a very important subject.
yeah. No, for sure. And like I said, it's not black and white. It's
Mm-hmm.
so nuanced with sex.
Exactly.
It's like porn is black and white,
Mm-hmm.
but like real life is not black and white.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's also a big problem with the porn industry and also and also social media, like for the other side of it.
For sure.
I don't know.
And growing like from boy to man, how was that kind of like experience like for you
In terms of what, like,
in terms of, I guess, like dealing with mental health, dealing with body changes, or things you've learned kind of in the way, like when starting to kind of communicate with people from like a different perspective, even when it comes to kind of like dating.
hmm, yeah, that's a good question. Like I think before I was more closed off to how to deal with certain things. I was very I was very much more defensive, you know, when things would, be brought up to me about me. And I was less open to hearing about things I need to improve on or work on in general. But like now, like as I've grown into a man, you know, a fucking grown ass man, um, I, I'm actually looking forward to people pointing out things that I need to work on, which I was not like before. And it kind of helps because I actually read this book called Mindset by Carol Dweck that literally talks about fixed mindset versus growth mindset.
Hmm.
And that's something that's kind of changed the way I think, to be honest, from like a couple of years ago. Because like before, like fixed mindset is just about like this is how I think about this, and that's it. I'm not going to change my mind, and that's usually not going to get you anywhere, and it's going to cause problems. But growth mindset is like understanding that there's a problem and you being open to changing it and being self aware enough to have the humility to accept that this is wrong and that there's a better way of handling things. So I'm more towards the growth mindset now than I was
Mm-hmm.
before. Before I had a fixed mindset, now I have a growth mindset. Um, and I think that there's always room for improvement.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like life is so like things are always changing at any moment, and there's always something you can do better at within yourself and towards other people too. So
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty much like the main thing that I've observed.
Yeah, I find even in I was talking to a friend about this too. Like even like in like spirituality and like yogic principles and stuff like that. There are like a couple of principles like to live by from life, but nobody has them all. Otherwise, we'd be like some god, some like messiah, some sort of, evolved spiritual being. And no matter how much we try, there's always going to be something to improve on.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
always. And the brain's always evolving. The life around you is always evolving. It's about adapting to your
Mm-hmm.
environment.
And so in regards to your relationships now, so right now you're single.
Mhm.
Yep. And how's the dating process been like?
I realized that, well, just kind of piggybacking off what I said earlier, like before when I would like chase the connection, it would never really work out. But now that like there's been times where I just don't think about it and girls will come to me
Mm-hmm. Yep.
naturally.
Yep.
I'm like, oh fuck, it actually kind of works. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
but like I haven't actually dated anyone yet since I've changed my thinking. But I've had like a couple of things here and there, like where for a couple of months I've gone on dates and stuff like that, and like they all love me, but no, okay. But they all want to fuck me, and I was like, no, I'm not fucking. Um, no, that's never happened. But it's like I feel like I'm still a guy, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
horny, and obviously I want to fuck, but like I think more with my brain now than my dick.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I can, if I wanted to, you know, fuck a few different people right now.
Mm-hmm.
But in my head, I'm like, I know myself. If I go through with this, I know how I'm gonna feel afterwards if I'm not fully into the person.
100%. Yep.
As much as because the thing with me is like I lack experience in that element of my life, to be honest, like with relationships and sex. I lost my virginity at 24
Mm-hmm.
um to I was at a brothel and I had sex with someone who worked which is whatever, like I was just desperate, you know what I'm saying, like it
Mm-hmm.
happened.
Yeah, for
I don't
sure.
care about more about that stuff, but more so like I was just so desperate over those years, and like I never really had that experience with women over time that um I I just kind of I would settle for whatever
Mm-hmm.
that came my way, which is not the right way to do things in my opinion, because like I get anxiety, especially after like sex. Like I have like I don't know what it is, but sexual anxiety. Like I just think like I get anxious about like STDs or like pregnancies and stuff like that. Even though like I do everything to like control it, I
Mm-hmm.
still like the smallest thing will set my brain off and be like, oh, you have this, you have that, oh, you have herpes, you have AIDS, you have this, you know what I'm saying? Like, but like it's not true at all. And like I'm
Mm-hmm.
good, but it's just that like um I for a while I would not like listen to myself, and I would continue to put myself in those positions to give me anxiety for weeks and months after sometimes, which is
Mm-hmm.
which is so stupid. Um and this all happened because of desperation of like, oh, I don't have sex enough, or I haven't had enough experience. So like let me just do it. Fuck it. But now I'm at a point where I'm like, is it worth it to feel that way just for a little bit more experience?
Mm-hmm.
At this point, I'm like, no, I'm self-aware now, and I can't lie to myself. I can't lie to myself and be like, no, it'll be different this time. Like I just realized like I'm at a point where I need to just like think about it more and accept the fact that like, yeah, sure, it sounds nice in the moment before you actually do it. Oh, she has nice boobs, or like she's like kind of cute, or like nice ass, or whatever the fuck it is. Um, like the thought of it's always better than the actual experience when you actually do it. And so and maybe it's because of post nut clarity or like whatever it is after, but like that only happens, I think, is because you're not emotionally attached to somebody. And I feel like as humans, primally, like you have to have some sort of connection first.
Mm-hmm.
As cliche as that sounds, I just think that's the only way for me to feel good about having sex is through connection now at this
100%.
point.
Yeah.
Whereas before I'll be like, I don't care, like I'll fuck anything, I'll fuck anyone, like whatever. But that's the wrong way to see it.
Mm-hmm.
So now I guess like I have more options, which is nice because I'm working on myself. And that's the thing, is like the more you work on yourself and you do things that's right for you, then the right people will come along. And then you
100%.
can
Yep.
actually you can be selective. And that's what I want this whole time. It's just that before I was thinking with my dick, now I'm thinking more with my brain.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I don't like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's like so easy and cheap to just like hook up with anyone you want, with anybody, but it's not worth it in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it also you like you let someone into your energy, and I recently started to worry and think more about energies, and that like it does affect you. It does affect you. Like that's where the anxiety comes from for me. It's the energy.
Exactly.
And so I feel like more men need to think this way, because it's not just about women, because a lot of women are more intuitively in, in tune with their energies and their whatever. Um, but that's the way I see it now. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you brought up some key points there that I was actually going to bring up, which even when it comes to kind of like working on yourself and all that stuff, it's like it's funny because I have like so many guy friends and stuff like that that are like at that desperate stage. And I'm like, bro, like the best advice I can give to you is like work on yourself. Like focus on yourself, do all the stuff that's going to make you happy, and then you're gonna attract those people. And it's like in regards to spirituality, manifestation, and all that stuff. That's literally how manifestation works. Is you think about it, you think about what you want, you let it go, and then that's kind of how it comes to you. So it's the same thing with that. It's just like when you're looking for something, when you're constantly looking, you're sending the message to the universe that you want to keep looking, that you
Mm.
just want to look. And they're like, oh, okay, so all he wants to do is look, like, so that we won't actually give him the result that he wants. So that's the
100%.
interesting thing. It's just like, and then as soon as you kind of like let that go, and it's funny too, because like a lot of my friends too, they're just like, oh, I'm focusing on myself now. I'm focusing on my career. I'm not gonna date anybody. And then like 2 months later, they're dating someone or they're seeing someone. And I always tell them that like, watch out, because that's when you start dating someone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy because you can never like you never know when it's gonna happen,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't just like expect it to happen a certain way either.
Mm-hmm.
I think you just have to
Exactly.
have an open mind about it, and yeah, I don't know. I truly believe that it'll just happen
Yeah.
naturally. Like you'll find
Oh yeah.
someone that's like naturally for you, and it's gonna happen at the most probably inopportune time too, like where like you're the busiest or whatever it is, right? Like,
You
but
can't pick that. That's the thing too,
yeah, yeah,
right? Yeah.
I know. But then at the same time, you're like, well, like, isn't this what you wanted, right? When it does happen,
It's
so
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's what I'm
I
saying.
am.
It's so nuanced. I don't know. Like, there's no, it's not black and white. It's just, I don't know. But then it's fucked because I feel like this has become a therapy session, but I feel like at times there's like I think this way. Obviously, I've evolved like crazy, but there's still times where I'm like, fuck, man, like I wish I could just fuck right now. Like, but like that's just like the human in you. You get horny, and all of a sudden you're like, well, god damn it, like I wish I could just absolutely just go to town on this girl right now. But like then you're like, no, but if I did that, it equals this, and then
Yes.
quickly you're like, let me just fucking jerk off,
Yeah.
and I'll forget about it. But I don't know. Like you can't have everything in life.
Exactly.
Can't have everything in life.
Exactly.
But I'm sure a lot of women are like that too. So
100%.
that's
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like I remember too, like last year I was at a point where I was like, I want to focus on myself and blah 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 and all this stuff. And I had like just kind of gotten through a breakup, and but then like I connected with someone like literally like a month and a half later, and I was just like, but is it too, I talked to my mom about it, and I was like, oh, but isn't it too soon though, like, I'm
yeah,
just trying
yeah,
to focus. She's just like, you wanted this
yeah,
and it
yeah.
came to you.
I
She's just
know.
like, she's like, so like now just accept the gifts that the universe is giving to you.
Mhm.
And yeah, and it's like, honestly, it doesn't come at the time you want it. And even energetically speaking, is like, it's funny how you got aware of that, because that's what I think that a lot of people kind of neglect, is that they don't realize that literally like sex is an energy exchange. And sometimes like if you're doing it from a place where it's mostly just like lust or hookups or whatever, and then you start to feel anxiety and things like that. And I remember one time where I hooked up with someone, and I was feeling all this anxiety and all this stress, and I was
Shame.
feeling like shame literally, and I was just like, why am I feeling that if I am not like that? Like
Yeah,
I'm not, I don't really think about that. I don't really think about also like, oh, I'm a whore because of
yeah.
this, like that's like, it doesn't come with that. But I was like, it's so interesting that that was happening, and I couldn't sleep that night. And then the next day I did like a bunch of like spiritual shit. I did like Wim Hof. I like saged.
Yeah.
I did like some meditation, all that stuff. And the funny thing was, I texted this person after, and I was just like, by any chance at all, do you feel stress or anxiety in your day-to-day life? And then he was just like, oh yeah, all the time. And I was just like,
There you go.
you know, that's where I started to kind of get that clarity in that situation where I was just like, you know, as much as sex is supposed to be something fun and lighthearted too, you know, there's still some things where it's just like spiritually speaking, that's why also a lot of the cultures and stuff think it as a sacred act,
Yeah,
because it is.
it
Even
is.
even if you're with a partner and stuff like that, you can have fun, you can have lighthearted moments, but it's still an energy exchange. And
100%.
yeah, they say too that when they say the worst part, like the worst time to kind of have sex is usually like when you're feeling sad
Oh yeah.
or when you're feeling angry or something, because you train your body to get aroused when you're feeling sad or when you're feeling angry.
It's all connected.
Yeah,
It's all
it's
connected.
everything is connected.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
good to be. I mean, sometimes you can make the argument that it's good to be angry and have sex when you're with your partner, because then
Mm-hmm.
you can have angry sex, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's good. But I don't know. I don't know what that feels like, but but I don't know. It's there's so many things that you could touch on here. Like, also I don't know. I feel like primally, back in the day, like caveman era, like I don't know. You wanted, like, especially like for women, they wanted the sense of security and,
Mm-hmm.
like, and protection from the man.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so like, it was meant to have sex so you can have like a family, or like you can, um, you have like that cohesion with one person,
Mm-hmm.
not just like multiple people. Because now I feel like a lot of people are lost because they're just fucking so much, and like they're allowing their energies, and they're just making it worse every time. It doubles, and like, because the more fuck, the more you give off your energy, the worse it's gonna get, and it's gonna be harder to like bring that back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
um you have to like work on it way more. And so that's the toxicity about like dating apps and stuff like that these days, because like it's just there's so many options that. And there's actually I saw another stat about uh like for men, how on these dating apps, like literally 10% or something like that, 7% of the guys are the ones who are getting the matches, and the rest of them are just like getting nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that causes a lot of these men to like think that it's on them, and now that's how the worst case, the extreme case, they become incels.
Yeah.
And the minor cases is like, I don't know, they lose confidence in themselves, and they get discouraged. And now it's like dating has become a totally different thing than what it meant like 10, even 20 years ago, before like all these dating apps and whatever bullshit. Because I still believe I'll meet someone in person, not online. Like,
100%.
it's
And
you
like
can.
usually the best connections are that like like, you know, it's like not to say that dating apps, like you can't find someone, like I
No.
have in the past, and
Yeah.
they have been great relationships too, you know. I've had a lot of like ups and downs and stuff like that, and you always learn something from every relationship
Yeah.
that you kind of go through. But that connection where you're like meeting someone, it's like it's again, it's all energy, it's energy, it's what you are attracting, right? So
Yeah, for sure. And it's hard to get that energy through a screen.
mhm.
Like, you can obviously develop a connection afterwards, which, like you said, you had a good relationship with a couple people from online. I know some other people who've met online, they got married even. Like,
Mhm.
it's possible. I'm just saying it's become much harder for dating in general, I think, because more people are like have become more socially anxious, where they
Definitely.
just rely on the dating or online dating.
Mhm.
So it's harder to meet those people in person, I think, now, because maybe they're not setting themselves up to be open to that.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's just like there's a whole other thing there, but um, and like I don't know how you feel about like, because like hookup culture, I think it goes both ways, but I feel like women are more in power because like they're the ones deciding.
100%. No, but they are.
Like,
They are.
so
That's a yeah.
my
Yeah.
thing is like, if you want, and like, the thing is like, can't do that and then complain that like men are trash, or like the hookup culture is toxic, because, well, some of it has to do with the women allowing it to happen. To be honest, this is
Exactly.
my hot take, but I think that, well, it's not like guys are deciding like, no, I'm not gonna fuck you. I'm not gonna. Guys will fuck anything. The women are the ones who can decide every single time for the most part.
Yep.
So I think, and also this is a little, most of it is on the women, the hookup culture part, the toxic
Mm-hmm.
part of it. And so I'm like, well, like, just don't do it. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's so easy just for me to just say that, but
Mm-hmm.
that's how I feel. I don't know. I don't
Yep.
know how you feel about that, but
No, I definitely agree. But that's the thing, and it's just like I find that agreeing with these things, a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, like she's not a feminist, you know? And it's just it's not that. It's just that women have some toxic traits too. It's not just men that have all these toxic traits. And I find that a lot of it with again social media and all this stuff, everything is coming to us so quick. Same thing with like AI and stuff like that.
oh
They
man,
say that these things are to help us so that we do less work, but it's actually for us to do more work. The same thing with the dating app, the same thing. Like you have all these options, but then now you're doing way more work. You're meeting way more people. You know, you're connecting with way more people. Everything is coming to you at a faster rate. The same thing with content nowadays. It's just like if you have a video that's like 10 minutes long or something like that, people's attention span, they're just like, why would I watch this video when I can literally scroll through 30 videos that are like 10 seconds? You know what I
100%.
mean? So
Exactly.
it's just like it's like
Fuck.
ridiculous. It's fucked up.
It's
Fucked.
sensory overload. Overload.
Literally. Mm-hmm.
Like it's insane. It's insanity. Like, and you're totally right. Like, it's for us to do more work,
Mm-hmm.
and that and we're that's where people start to like lose sense of reality. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like if you just step outside for a second and just look at what's going on around you, like without the technology, like you can't go that fast. Like you'll crash and burn.
Mm-hmm.
And also it's like you're right. Like people are doing way too much above their capacity, and that's why mental health has become dwindling. People are depressed, anxiety, stress, like all these diseases because of that stuff, and it's all linked together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like the fact that you have to write a whole fucking pitch deck just to fucking date someone is insane to me. Why are you writing a whole fucking biography like you're somebody, like you're an author? Dude, just fucking meet someone in person. You know what I'm saying? Like we've lost we've lost it. So that's the
Definitely.
part I know. I just like it pisses me off in a way. I don't know. But like
Mm-hmm.
that's just me as one person. But I think more and more people are starting to think this way, like be more
Mm-hmm.
aware of what's going on and almost rebelling against it. Like I don't know. I don't like the fact that shit's going so fast. But also I can't you also can't go against it because it's one way or another it's going to keep going that way. It's
Exactly.
exponentially going to grow, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you have to adapt, but all, at the same time still like keep in check of like reality. um
100%.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We're all fucked. We're all fucked, Lego.
Maybe that should be the podcast podcast name. We're all fucked.
Yeah, literally.
So
We're
the
all
yeah.
fucked. We're not fucking. We're all fucked. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
literally. We're down to kind of the last few questions before we sign off. And this is one that's just like, have you ever dated anybody from your culture?
no, never.
No.
No, I am like it's impossible to be honest. Like I don't know. Something that I've just noticed personally and within my culture, like a lot of Persian girls just don't like to date Persian guys. To be honest, I don't know. But like I'm not full Persian either. Like I'm Canadian as well, so
Exactly.
I'm a mix of everyone's
Yep.
culture. To be honest, that's just how I was
Yep.
raised. I grew up. So,
That's
but I don't know.
Toronto. That's
It's
literally
Toronto, yeah,
Toronto.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, and but I don't know. Yeah, I've never just had luck with Persian girls. To be honest, I don't know. They
hmm
don't like me.
Yeah.
Why?
It happens. It's the same. I think it's the same thing with me for like Latinos and stuff like that. I'm
Oh,
like,
really?
I'm good. I'm good. You know, like I see them. I'm like, you're my brother.
Right,
You know,
exactly. I
like
know. Not
yeah.
for that. I don't know. I mean, I would like to. Like, I love Persian women. Like, I don't know. Like, I think they're the positives of it is like they're very family oriented and
Mm-hmm.
caring and hospitable. Good looking. Obviously, like they smell great.
Mm-hmm.
Guaranteed they smell great. We love cologne in our culture. And they try to like look nice and stuff like that, but like there's also a lot of like negatives too about like a lot of judgment that goes on behind your back, and like everyone's over worried about like their image, which is something I hate. I don't give a fuck about what people think about me, like, or like my
Mm-hmm.
image. I'll just wear what I want. That makes me happy. Like I don't care about like trying to impress. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why maybe I'm different than like typical Persian guys. I don't know, but um I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, but yeah, I find that with culture in regards to that, it's like, yeah, again, pros and cons with different countries and cultures, and it's just like the older cultures compared to kind of like Canada. Canada is still baby.
Okay.
It's still a baby country. They're still like, as my mom says, Canada is still learning how to walk, while all these other
Oh,
countries,
that's
they're
good.
the elders.
I like that. I like that. I
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, we're providing a lot of wisdom for the baby.
Yeah. But the funny thing is even like my mom talks about this, how in Brazil, like everything that's trending in North America, like a couple months to a year, it'll show up in Brazil.
Oh,
So like
really?
they don't have it like right away. They don't have like the same trends or the same diets or the same lifestyles or even like Wim Hof or things like that. Like that's like they're just starting to get to there.
Interesting.
So it's interesting, kind of like that, you know?
I mean, it makes sense.
Mhm.
I've heard about like even like in China, like their technology is already like years ahead of us here. Like that, and that's the scary part too. I'm like, no one
What
really,
is that? What is that like? That's
I don't know, like no one's in sync at all. So I don't know. I don't know. It's just chaotic.
Yep.
Chaos.
hmm Well, before we sign off, do you have any advice for any listeners out there in regards to anything?
Yeah, one piece of advice I'd love to give, and how I genuinely feel about me is um I think it's worth like trying to do what you love,
Mm-hmm.
just so you don't regret it later in your life. And like don't judge yourself along the way, because there's no formula to do anything. Like, so what someone else is doing a certain way does not mean that it's going to work for you in that same way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the way you can thrive and succeed is by being real with yourself and not lying to yourself, and just trying to put yourself in position to do what you love, and that makes you happy. And like obviously this is a cliche thing, but life's too short to not try at least. Um, and like it's not even about like life's too short. Like everyone's gonna die like when they're older. You could die tomorrow. I could literally walk outside right now and get hit by a bus, and that's it. And so the way I see it is like if that happens to me, am I happy with how I lived my life this whole time?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way I see things, is like, like just do it now, like while you're still here. And also like what something I've recently learned is that um if you have people in your life that care about you or love you, make sure to go out of your way to also express that to them, because you also don't want to regret something happening to those people,
Mm-hmm.
and then the last thing you said to them or did to them was something negative, because you're gonna live with that forever, and it's gonna suck. So um that's pretty much it. And also in regards to like social media, um like as long as you know yourself and your context about life, don't worry about what other people think. In general, like obviously it'll affect you sometimes because you're only human, but just try to do your best to just get over it quickly, because you know yourself more than anybody else. You know the context. So don't let that discourage you from continuing doing what you're doing. And that's it. Just keep growing. Growth mindset or fixed mindset.
Amazing.
Yeah. Sorry, that was like long ass.
No, that's awesome because everybody, everybody has like different answers and stuff. I remember like one of the first that someone said was just literally like Hakuna Matata, and then I sign off. I was like, oh,
There
everybody
you
has
go.
different ones.
Yeah. And another thing is, fuck bitches get money. No, I'm kidding. Forget everything I just said on this
Forget
podcast
everything.
and just go fuck as many people as you can.
Also, quick question because a lot of well, I ask a lot of people this and stuff like that is what's your zodiac sign?
Ooh,
Ooh,
let's get into it. I am Sagittarius.
okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
All the fire.
I'm the best. I'm the fucking best. Fuck everyone else. I'm the most important person in this room. Everybody look at me.
Fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
It's
What about you?
funny. I'm a Gemini.
Okay, nice. Do we get
Yeah.
along? Are we
Yes.
supposed to get along?
Yes, actually.
All right. Well, it looks like we
Definitely.
have
It's
this whole
good.
time.
It's like, bouncing off of each other energetically. It's
I
good.
like that
Good.
shit. I
Right?
like that.
Yeah.
Nice. Gemini, I thought Gemini people are like super hardcore, like they're just like cutthroat. Is that true?
That's what they say. But maybe it's honestly what I think it is the honesty. It's the
Oh,
level
okay.
of honesty that kind of comes off as sometimes gossipy to
Mm,
others. So,
true.
yeah, who knows?
Yeah, I like that. I'd rather that than fake shit. So,
Yeah, then that's good.
oh,
It's funny. You said you didn't go to a therapy session, but this seems like it turned out to be a therapy
yeah,
session. You're like, I never done therapy before. The universe is like, aha.
yeah. Hey, so same time next week
Right?
or?
Right? Exactly. So everyone,
Forget
all
signing up
right.
for real therapy. This is
Yeah,
my therapy now.
exactly. Yep.
Yeah, you're my therapist now, Layla.
Oh,
Thank you
that's
very
great. Okay. Yeah. So where can people find you and tell the people kind of like what you got going on before we leave?
much. I am on all social media platforms at Neema Naz. It's NEEMA or NAZ for the Americans. And yeah, I post content daily, comedy shit, acting stuff, whatever. And I'm going on tour actually in the States in April. So any tickets are on my website, neemanaz.com, if anybody wants to come see comedy.
Amazing.
Yeah. Come laugh. Stop
Yeah.
being fucking sad. I'll talk about sex. I have a lot of sex jokes. Really shitty sexual experience jokes. Come laugh at my pain.
Come laugh at my pain.
And come laugh at my pain and then let me come on your face after. We'll laugh about it together. Yeah. Anyway.
All right. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really enjoyed our conversations and talks, and it's also good to see kind of like the other sides of you as well. You get to see like the funny, the comedy, but you also have, a really good intellectual side too. It's nice.
Thank you.
It's nice.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the women who've rejected me. Thank you very much.
Well, now, if you guys want to date Neema, you guys watched all this video, it's basically like knowing him in an hour and 30 minutes,
This is exactly how the first date will go, by the way.
Yeah.
So just an example of what to expect. Yeah.
Exactly. And on that note, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoy this. Make sure to share it and all of that jazz. I will see you guys next time. Bye.